everybody, welcome back. My name is Cassie. I am the Evil Secret Ninja, and I talk about books and review books on my channel. And today, I am doing my 2021 wrap-up. I read way too many books to go into them more specifically, but I'll just kind of give you an overview of the things that I read. And I got most of this stuff from Goodreads, so they kind of post things on there for when you keep track of your books. So I read 332 books last year. That's almost one book a day. So I read a lot. I have a problem. And that was 130,621 pages. And the average length of the book was 393 pages. The longest book that I read was Les Miserables, and that was 1,729 pages. And the shortest one that I read was the little Amazon short story, which was The Visit by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. So that was kind of the shortest one. I read pretty much a mixture. I had I think fantasy was probably my biggest area that I read in. I'm sure I read at least 5 or 6 fantasy every month. I read a bunch of science fiction. I read some mangas. I read some counted cookbooks on there, and some art books, which I think you gotta count art books because they take longer to read than to get through if you're teaching yourself how to do something in them. I read a lot of stuff, and I usually read like about 2 mangas a month, so maybe 30, 24, 30. I am not planning to read as many books this year as I did last year. Like, I love to read, obviously. It's just, I'm trying to do some other things this year. But I read a lot last year. I already did a video where I did like my 10 favorite books and series for the year and my 10 least favorite. So I'll just kind of go over like what my favorite reads were each month. They're a little bit different, but most of them are the same. For the month of January, my favorite book was obviously Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. One of along with A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. Those 2 books are now like my favorite books of all time. Because what could be more? They're related. Astrophysics and French classic literature. They're closely related. And that was my favorite read in January. My favorite read of the year. In February, my favorite book was The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, and that was the first book in the Stormlight Archives. And I think every month that I read a Stormlight Archive book, it was my favorite that month. So there will be a lot of Brandon Sanderson on there. March, my favorite read was 1984 by George Orwell. Another one where I was like, wow, this is way cool, and I felt like the author somehow saw into the future and knew what life was going to be like, because it was a little creepy. In April, my favorite was A World Without Heroes by Brandon Mull, and this is the first book in the Beyonder series. If you have never read Brandon Mull, and you like middle grade fantasy, like Harry Potter, that kind of stuff, like definitely pick up Brandon Mull. He has got some awesome stuff. Fablehaven, A World, The Beyonders. I haven't read some of his other ones, but everything that I've read by him, I've really enjoyed. May was the month that I read the next book in the Stormlight Archives, Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. And believe it or not, that is the highest rated book on Goodreads that I read in the year of 2021. In June, my favorite read was The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. This is a classic story of revenge, a man who is imprisoned because his friends falsely conspired against him because they wanted everything that he had. He spent several years in prison, breaks out of prison, and is out for revenge. And of course has a massive amount of gold to help him on his quest. In July, my favorite read was 3 Cups of Tea, One Man's Mission to Fight Terrorism and Build Nations, One School at a Time, and that was by Greg Martinson and David Oliver Realm. And this was a nonfiction. This is about a man who is going around Iraq, Afghanistan, all of those kind of places, and he's building schools in these communities and actually paying teachers to teach there. And the amount of money that those teachers are being paid we would absolutely, it's shocking. It was like $30 a month to pay these teachers, but these communities were so poor they could not afford to pay a teacher $30 a month to teach their children. And so he would do all of those kind of things. And it was very touching, very awesome story. My August favorite read was Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson, number 3 in the Stormlight Archives. My September favorite read was Wolf by Wolf by Ryan Groden. And that one was a kind of a cool historical fiction about if Hitler won World War II, and now one of his human experiments is coming to assassinate him. So it was a lot of fun. In October, my favorite read was The Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. So the 4th book in the Stormlight Archives. That was kind of the last one that is written. We're waiting for the 5th one to come out, which I think it's supposed to come out next year or the year after. I'm not sure, what we'll see. In November and December, it was 2 books in the series by Robin Hobb. It was the Ship of Magic and The Mad Ship was my December favorite read. In November, I had kind of a little bit of, it was hard to pick because along with the Ship of Magic, I really, really, really liked the Asylum Voice manga series. That one just completely broke my heart. And I loved that one a lot. I have read a lot of variety. I had a lot of fun reading last year. I got some really great stories. Some were just okay. But for the most part, I really enjoyed almost everything that I read. And according to Goodreads, like my average rating was a 4-star. But usually when I rate books, I do more of on a 10-point scale. So I'm not sure like what that would come out to. I guess it would be like an 8. So for the most part, I enjoyed the stuff that I read. I will say I have a really hard time giving books 1 star. And that's because I know that somebody worked hard on that book and that they put a lot of effort into it, and it's something that I've never done. So I don't like to say like, oh, well, you're crappy as an author, you should just give up and give it 1 star. So I did not have any 1-star ratings this year. The times that I do give out 1 stars are when I feel like that the book is meant to be nonfiction when clearly it's fiction, or the Twilight series. Those I gave 1 star. I don't like them. So I read a very large mixture of ebooks, audiobooks, and physical books. So I had kind of a good mix of those. I think most of them were probably audiobooks, because I think I read 10 or more audiobooks, or I listened to 10 or more audiobooks every month. I was always listening to an audiobook, and then my kids were listening to one. So we kind of got this. And one of the other things that I found pretty interesting, I was tracking everything, like the different series that I picked up, or the series that I finished, or any book that I read that was part of a series. And I read, like, not the number of books in a series, but the number of different series that I picked up. I had over 100 different series. So I can't even go through those because there's so many series that I read books in. I'm like, what do I do with that? Some of the series I really liked and I am continuing. Some of them I did not like so much, and I won't be continuing them. So that's kind of all the things that I read and what I liked, and the number of books that I read in last year. Like I said, this year, not going to read as many. So I'm trying to keep my goals a little bit smaller. Got some extra responsibilities coming up, and I can already tell so far that it had an impact on the amount of books that I've been reading, just even this month, even though it just started. Thank you guys all for watching. I appreciate the viewership and the comments. So if you want to talk about what you read last year and maybe what your favorite book was, or things that you enjoyed or didn't enjoy, go ahead and put a comment down below and I'll respond. I do admit that I can't always respond like the day that you make a comment, because I have so much stuff going on every day, but I am getting to those comments and making sure that I respond, and I appreciate all of them. You guys are awesome. You guys are nice. So thank you guys all for watching. Bye.